All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Pirate101 campaign. Last time we had an exciting time, and who wants to tell us why that was exciting?
Let's see. Oh, you can go.
Okay. Well, I guess last time on Pirate 101, we were at Beachhead, and we had previously killed Rook, which is one of the commanding generals for the whole of the Armada. And so, after checking in with the Marleybonians, we took Rook's corpse with us, and shortly after leaving, the remaining Armada troops destroyed the rest of Beachhead, kind of under the mentality of, well, if we're going down, we're going to take down as many guys with us as we can. So that was less than ideal, but we got out just fine. We went back to Lieutenant Lana Marsh, kind of filled her in on everything, and told her that we were going to take off to go to Valencia. And she said that she would help us out a little bit by sending a special forces team to go check in on Malister for us and try to keep an eye on him while we worked on the Armada for them. And she gave us a little bit of supplies as well, and we were able to get the Armada ship so we can sneak in. On the way over, we did a couple of modifications to Quin to help him impersonate Rook better. He's got a bit of a pseudo disguise that we can put illusions over to kind of make him look like Rook, and we also changed out his voice box so he quite literally sounds like Rook because he has Rook's vocal cords in him right now. So using that, we were able to use Rook's sending stone to give the Armada a heads up that Rook was checking in and that he's coming back. And then getting into Valencia, we said that we were going to be meeting with Kane to do a debrief and to get some information. And we left off kind of trying to decide how we wanted to approach this as we head over to the Skyforge, which is the headquarters for the Armada.
All right, yeah, go ahead and take the reroll for this session. You might need it. And yeah, so on your little vessel, you are approaching Skyforge, and Catbeard says, "So we've batted a lot of ideas around, but I think we need to stick with one."
Yeah.
Agreed. I know from our discussions we talked about trying to meet up with the rebellion and trying to see if we can stall the Armada in their department. Do we still want to go for that?
I believe excuse me. I believe I think the best course of action is to try and accompany the fleet. And try to delay it.
I agree. I think that can be a good plan, especially while we're observing. It might open up other opportunities, like the assassination or other things we talked about.
But again, keep in mind, I can only do the disguise thing like 2 more times.
That is good to know. I plan on getting in and out of Skyforge as quick as possible,
but it lasts 8 hours.
I don't think we're gonna have a choice but to use it for getting into Skyforge.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do that. I think meeting with Kane is a necessity that we can't avoid. So we meet with him.
I think that's all Quin, too.
Yeah. All right, so let's say then we have Quin as Rook say that he wants to accompany the rest of the fleet to El Dorado, but suspects that there's an active attempt by the Resistance to sabotage the mission, so we have to, before launching the expedition, we need to go and root them out first. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah. Just expect to go by the seat of your pants if, some unforeseen elements come up. Because in my experience, it never goes the way you expect it to. But I trust you enough to make the right judgment calls.
Okay, so this is going to be more of a protocol sort of issue. Should the rest of us accompany him in there, or should he go alone?
What's your opinion on this, Quinn?
It could go either way. I don't think, when meeting with Kane, I don't think all of us could be in the same room. But maybe one or two of us can pose as high-ranking officials accompanying me. That would likely work. And while we're discussing these with Kane, the rest of you might be able to get a little bit of information or look around a little bit.
Try to stay in groups, though. Buddy system.
Indeed.
I'd be willing to go with Quinn, I think, but unless you guys have a better suggestion.
I would like to go with them because I have some. He needs a distraction to get out of there, I can get him out of there.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we should stick to that then.
Right. Meanwhile, I suppose the rest of us will go and see if there's any intel to be gained. Would it be out of character for us to try to inquire if there are any leads as to the whereabouts of the rebellion?
Most likely. There's a decent chance she'll be asked for protocols in a situation like that, and I'm not sure if we can procure a cover for that.
No, I doubt it. So do you think we'd be better off trying to avoid engaging in conversation at all?
That's what I would advise. I would probably stick to pretending to be on a patrol pattern and seeing if you can sneak around or see what you can find out with your eyes. If you really need to, I guess you could try conversation, but I would try to avoid it if at all possible.
All right.
Max especially might be able to get around and find some information out for us.
A little sneaking around and eavesdropping might be able to pull something out of them, yeah. I just gotta find the right ones that are talking.
Yes, keep an eye out for anyone with a golden trim mast. Those are more high-ranking officials.
Yeah. Or just try to steal papers, too. That's always good.
Back to the basics. That one.
Yeah. especially if it's important-looking paper behind a lock-and door or in a filing cabinet.
So do you guys
Okay.
want me running off on my own, or are we still gonna buddy system with me?
Well, you're pretty good at not getting caught. So, I'll leave it up to you how safe you feel.
We could stick together initially, and I could maybe try to act as a distraction if you need to go off and do something.
Yeah. You only need to split off if something catches your interest.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea because I've heard that if you split off and you don't have a regrouping point, then you could be standing around for hours not knowing where the rest are.
Well, it's a good thing we have a telepathic bond.
Yeah, I could send this little robot construct with you as well, and we could communicate through one means I found that we could do. But telepathic bond is better for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Well,
So, before you begin, I will point out that the Skyforge is going to take several hours to cross if you are asked to go deep into it.
Yeah,
So bear that in mind with spells of different lengths.
okay, so we're probably good with deceiving, but not the telepathic bond.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there a good meeting point we could meet up then?
Is there a robot lounge?
Is there like a big point of interest that we can see from here? Or Quin knows of?
The most obvious places to meet would be one of the docks, or otherwise known as the spokes. So depending on where you land would be a good choice.
Okay. And, just because I want to feel extra subterfuge, we have these flare guns, and we can assign them colors if we fire them off. Like I don't know, red is abort, green is go to the rendezvous point, or I want it to feel special.
Fortunately, we'll be inside, so I don't know if we'll be able to see them.
Oh, I thought it was kind of like a city, kind of.
Actually, that is a good question. Is it like a city, or is it more like Beachhead, just on a much larger scale?
It's like Beachhead on a much larger scale. However, there are parts of the spokes that are not covered.
Okay.
Next question. Would they find shooting off low-grade fireworks suspicious?
They definitely will, but that will kind of signify if we're in a bunch of different places and telepathic bond isn't up to, get the hell out of there.
Alright, well, I've got them on me just in case.
Yeah, I've got one too. Should I give it to someone else? Or does everyone have one?
I think we all have one.
Okay, yeah. Okay, if
Yeah.
things go south, just fire it up in the air and we'll try to regroup at the spokes, I believe he said.
Yeah, so the spoke is in more or less what they call each of the landing platforms, and all of them have a bit of different functionality.
Yeah.
But that's like the easiest place to convene because, well, at least it's where your ship is going to be, and that's probably where you want to meet up to leave anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you can't bottle this Armada ship.
All right. So I say when we're almost ready to disembark, I will get the telepathic bond up and seeming up. But is there anything else we should prepare for?
One question is what Catbird will do. Will he stay on the boat in the smuggler's hold or take him with us?
Keep the engine running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do clockworks just like act as like janitors for the ship, like keeping the upkeep and all that, like swabbing the deck and making sure everything's all in line?
They kind of have a pit crew as part of the spokes, so they're gonna like come on board your ship and start cleaning it up when you dock.
He'd probably have to stay in the smuggler's hold then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, I don't know if I should say anything.
Well, doesn't you disguised me before? Couldn't you just keep it that way? Or do you want me to stay undisguised for a particular reason?
No, we'll of course disguise you, but
Then again, if
You-
we're in there for longer than the disguise lasts, he's gonna be here undisguised. I don't know if that'd be a good idea.
You want me to just shove off after what? How long does it last? Like an hour before it ends?
well, yeah. It lasts 8 hours, so maybe 7 hours and 59 minutes. I know you can just keep track of that in this world we live in, despite not having a watch or anything. And even if you did, that would be pretty tough. But I digress. Just before it ends, just maybe hide in there.
So you want me to hide before it ends rather than push off?
If you push off, we're stranded here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have Max's boat. That's why I'm asking.
That
Thank
will
you.
very clearly reveal who we are.
Yeah. This one at least provides us a better getaway. Because we're going to get fired at if we use our regular ship. We'll possibly get fired at with this one, but, you know, depends how things go.
Well, roger that.
All right, is this our plan?
I think so.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. Also, Faris, when you make those disguises for captains, the more official term for high-ranking officers is presidios. So if you're asked to introduce yourself, make sure you use that title.
Like, give me an example here. Should I say? Just
Say designated as Presidio Maximus, or whatever cover name you wish to pick.
Okay.
Presidio is just the title.
all right.
All right. Is that everything?
Daelen will give Max the construct bird that he did with Homunculus Servant, and he'll tell Max to basically make like a sock puppet dog signal to it if he wants to like convey a message to us. And yeah, then I'll do the thing to let him speak to us. But if telepathic bond runs out, that is.
Okay.
Right.
Or if you need like enhance ability or something too.
Okay.
Or actually, is that has range? It has to be a touch spell. I'll figure it out. And
Okay. Are we ready to dock?
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Which hex do you wish to dock at?
Probably the closest one.
Yeah, that one.
Okay. So you make your way and you dock onto this spoke, and you have your disguises up. What are you all disguised as? If there's any significant differences.
So I think Quin is namely Rook, and I'm going with the one he told me to go with before, with kind of the gold trim. Is that if I'm
Okay.
gonna be sticking with him, right? And I would leave it to Quin to kind of describe what the others I should make the others. Just basic grunt.
Yeah, just basic grunts.
All right.
So we're going to be basically the soulless variety of Clockworks.
That's what I would suggest. Then you can just go on a normal search pattern, and that should keep you pretty under the radar.
Is there any specific response we should have if somebody asks us about our designation or anything?
You can give a name. Usually, the low-ranking ones are Fire Alley. Is it Custos? I believe is a low-ranking member.
Yeah. Or Kustos, or however you want to pronounce it.
Kustos would be your title, and then just tell them that you're on patrol protocols. Also, just try not to show too high level of intelligence or command. The grunts basically just take orders and carry them out to the best of their abilities. It's more the captains and high officers that have the higher level thinking capabilities.
Right, so if I was asked to identify myself, I might say something like, this unit's designation is Custos, whatever the name is, currently on patrol duty or something like that.
Yes. I'd say patrol protocol is probably the best way to put it.
Got it.
But again, try to avoid having them actually give your physical cylinder. A verbal thing like that should be good enough, but
All right. Well then, are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so you get your spells off, your metal birds and so forth.
Yep.
Catbeard gives you a salute and ducks into the smuggler's hold, and the cleaning crew begins to march on board. And they do like that Roomba thing where they might like get a little too close to you, or like they whack you in the head with one of their mops.
I guess we head in. I assume there's a check-in port we have to check in at.
Yeah. So you read.
Telepathic bond is also up. Starting now.
All right. And you reach it, and one of the clockworks there says, "Report code cylinder for further designation at Skyforge."
This is Rook, using emergency protocols to establish a meeting with Kane.
Present previous code cylinder to identify as uncompromised.
I hand over Rook's cylinder.
All right, and he puts it through the decoder and he hands it back to you and says, "Proceed to hub."
Okay. Quin heads out.
Yeah, I join him.
I'm going to say through the telepathic bond, any particular areas we should check out?
Nothing in particular. The factories could be one, but those are probably more restricted. If you really want to, you could also look at the stones to hold this whole place up. Or just hang around any high member officers and see what you can overhear. It doesn't matter too much, but if you want information, the officers might be the best place to snoop around.
I don't think it's suspicious if we just stand around them.
I wouldn't just stand around them, but you can patrol areas where officers are frequently stationed and just kind of walk the halls in a loop.
Understood. Alright, I guess if we come to a fork in the hallway or something and see, like a hallway we can go down, I'll kind of telepathically signal to Max for us to start walking that way.
Telepathic thumbs up.
Just get an emoji come through your mind.
Like a group text chat going on.
Monkey covering its eyes.
All right, so yeah, you come to a fork. You see a few damaged clockworks going off to the right, and then off to the left. There's a few gathering around and exchanging different weapons off to one that is then carrying them off to another location.
Something tells me we're probably not going to get a whole lot going to an area where they're going for repairs. Or possibly to get melted down, or whatever it is they're going to do. So
Yeah,
I'm thinking we'll probably go in the other direction.
Yeah, I don't think going in for repairs is going to be particularly pleasant, especially when they find out they don't have the right parts.
All right. So, veering away from the broken ones, you begin to make your way towards another wing of the spoke here, and you reach. I guess it kind of looks like one of those like kiosks where there's just one dude in the middle of this structure here, and he's passing out different code cylinders to clockworks that come up to him.
Does there seem to be any sort of identification process or anything, or do you just get in line and you get a code cylinder, basically?
Give me a perception check.
Max, you might be better suited to this than me.
Probably.
Better than me, so.
31. That's an at 20.
All right, so you're able to more or less hear that these code cylinders are they're getting they have verifications coming through. This isn't just this place doesn't just hand them out. It's also a relay terminal of some kind where information comes through, and then the code cylinders are requested, and then they're brought out and given out. Seems like it's only for common ones or ones that have been slated for mass production.
They'll probably get caught if we try to do anything there. Let's just keep patrolling.
Are there any, do you see any, like, people that aren't clockworks around?
No, the entire complex is completely filled with clockworks.
Okay. Well, if you do see someone who actually has flesh and bone, maybe pursue them. So it might be either be someone of the Resistance, or it might be someone who you can get information to that isn't all in zeros and ones.
Agreed.
If we can find a way to get a code cylinder, some other way, we would have a lot better shot at this.
If you need a new code cylinder, you could potentially go into the factory and try to feign as if you're newly minted units. A new unit should be assigned a fresh code cylinder. It wouldn't be around long enough to have an existing one to verify.
Are there...
That's kind of what this outer spoke here is for, is distributing those out to either returning or newly manufactured units before they are then put on board a ship and shipped out.
Do you know where prisoners might be held, Quin?
DMs, would I know that? I imagine I probably would, given my previous work, if they haven't changed locations.
The way that the Armada handles prisoners would more or less mean if there are prisoners at Skyforge, they would have to be extremely high priority, or they would want to make sure that they aren't held in a city. Most of the time they tried to make Florenza handle these kinds of matters and make the Valencians more or less route out their own so they don't have to do the work, and it keeps it all politically sound.
But if there were to be any prisoners on Skyforge, does Quin know where they might be?
I suppose he might. Give me a history check.
Okay. 28.
All right. So what you're able to recall is when you were working here, this was generally the spoke that prisoners would be assigned to. Each spoke has a different major specialty. They all do a little bit of everything, but this one was the one that they brought prisoners to because it is closest to the storm gates.
Okay. And then also, just to clarify, so with them handing out code cylinders, so do you have to trade in an old code cylinder, or are some of the newer constructs just getting a new one without trading in an old one?
Some of them are getting new code cylinders because they've been recently manufactured, but it also kind of says over the intercom who is coming, or rather how many are coming.
Okay.
Well, that gives us either option A to just... Well, if things go missing, then that's bad, probably. So I think the only option is if we wanted to, we would need to find, like, other constructs and disable them and then take their place, but... I don't have a good plan for that. So.
I think we should try to see if we can find where any prisoners are being held, if any.
Sounds good.
All right. You're going to be able to find that location. Quin could probably point you in the right direction. However, this is going to be the place where you'd have to split the party. Because
Well, I'd assumed we already split the party because we were heading off on the patrol route while they were going to meet with Kane.
Okay.
We were communicating through telepathic bond.
Okay. Is there a limit to how far that goes?
No. Anywhere on the plane of existence.
All right. I guess what I'm going to be pointing out here is Faris and Quin are going to be reaching the edge of the spoke here, which is going to be round about the time telepathic bond would run out.
Okay, so that's probably about the last bit of information we were able to get, I would assume, then, is
Yeah. Use
where
your
they're...
flares. So I cut out.
Was Quin able to give us a location before it cut out?
Yeah, I'll say so.
Okay.
All right, so Quin and Faris, you continue towards the spoke when the telepathic bond kind of runs out, and you're seeing a few different commanders moving past you at this point. As you get closer to the center, there's going to be higher profile figures moving around this area. And then eventually the check-in point for the hub is within sight. And this one is the way that these spokes were designed is they were a bit more open. They had different hallways and intersections, but they usually opened up into larger rooms where more clockworks could systematically get through, either through elevators or other things of that nature in massive quantities. But this is where it begins to funnel down into smaller points and hallways where individuals are prioritized. and so because of that, you're coming into more or less a closed off, smaller area where it's gonna get a little bit more claustrophobic. Well, not really claustrophobic, but just, I guess, yeah. You're going to need to look like you know what you're doing, because everything now is you can't really like bump into like a patrol and then mix in with them like the other team has been doing.
Right. So just like less clockworks walking around.
Yeah, and there's a solid gate between like here and there where the ceiling kind of begins to come down as it prioritizes making more floors than having more space.
Okay.
And the check-in guard is checks a code cylinder of a clockwork that looks similar to Faris, one of the Presidios, and then it is passed forward. Do you approach?
Yeah, I approach and I give it my cylinder and explain that we're heading up to see Kane.
All right, and it says Rook's code cylinder is verified. Presidio unit present code cylinder.
Presidio code cylinder not necessary. He's under my direct command. Emergency protocols, and then I'll spat out whichever emergency protocols I've been pulling on to bypass code cylinder updates.
All right. And he tells you security clearance not authorized for such a code. All personnel reaching the hub must be identified with a code cylinder.
I guess through the telepathic bond.
We don't have it anymore.
Oh no.
I will salute and say, I will not be needed for this. And I will salute him and walk off back down the way it came.
All right. So, Quin, you are admitted into the hub. Now, this is your first time in the hub. Before this, you were manufactured and shipped off through the spokes, but as to where Kane is located, you don't know that information offhand. And the hub is a pretty massive location as well. It's an entire hex in its own right. There's elevators that go up. There's elevators that go up and down from where you are. There's different levels of clearance. But how do you intend to find your way to Rook's office?
Can I actually do something?
Sure.
Okay, so what Quin went through, right? Was there anything barring him, or was... What I'm asking is, my intent here is for me to subtle cast invisibility and join him still. Or maybe that's a bad idea. It only lasts an hour. Never mind.
I mean, after an hour, you just look like a Presidio again, wouldn't you?
I still look like that, yes. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, let's could I easily get in there if I'm not seen?
I would probably have you do a stealth check to get past like the kind of like the barrack. They have like there's like a door. There's like soldiers on both sides of the door that you'd have to be making sure you don't get too close to, while also trying to not like step on Quin's toes or anything. But you could do it. You could give it a try.
I am gonna try it. I have a pretty good stealth.
I mean, you'd have advantage on it too, because you're
No, I don't think.
Invisibility does not give you advantage. It gives you advantage on initiative, but not on this.
Oh, before you do this, let me throw this in there. If you become visible again and they ask for a security cylinder at maybe another checkpoint, you're kind of screwed.
Mm.
Do they check code cylinders if you're leaving one of these areas, or is it just to get in?
They check the code cylinders at these checkpoints, more or less.
Okay, maybe
They aren't like walking up to random people and demanding code cylinders unless they're being reassigned a unit.
But they would check even if you're leaving the area as well.
Yes. At least with the hub. No, yeah. Just in general, they check when you enter and when you exit.
Okay, well, I could just do this again. I'm like gonna risk it, just in case. Yeah, okay, I'm committing to it. Subtle cast, like, could I go to? Well, I guess is there an area where I could get some peace and get some out of sight?
Yeah, I'll say that there's like a couple bulkheads you can kind of hunker down in while like a couple guys walk past and get 6 seconds to yourself.
Yeah, okay. I just realized it doesn't cost a sorcery point because I'm on illusion right now. So I'll use a lunar boon and a subtle cast of invisibility using a level 2 slot. I'm invisible now, and I will try to get past this checkpoint.
All right, go ahead and make the stealth check.
Where is it? $11.
We have a reroll, but I don't know if we want to use it here or not.
Quote the DMs, you might need it.
So, are we sticking with the 11 then?
I believe it is Quin's choice, I think.
Oh gosh.
Wait, do I have luck points?
It's 2 luck points to increase the roll by
Yeah.
1, correct?
Yeah.
I can boost it a little, not by much.
Yeah, I have only one, so I can't help there.
Our only real chances if we use the reroll.
Alright, I guess you can go for that reroll.
Okay.
What?
On a 6, no less. All right. Is Luna summoned right now?
I would say no. I wouldn't keep her in there.
All right. So you're tailing behind Quin, so that way you don't have to like try to body around him, and the door begins to close on you, and you kind of scurry around, and then you feel a jolt of pain in your hand, and you take 1 bludgeoning damage, and your hand, and that you are grappled by the door, and currently it is not completely shut.
Oh, so it's like shutting on my hand.
Yes, the door has shut on your hand.
I'm like covering my mouth, trying not to.
Concentration check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the telepathic bond was up, you'd probably hear a bunch of profanities.
Now, this is what we'd hear if the telepathic bond was up.
24 for concentration.
All right, but for all intents and purposes, you are grappled by the door, and yeah, it currently just looks like it is failing to close for the time being.
Okay.
Hope somebody else tries to come through soon, I guess.
Okay. Before I try to yank my hand out of a door where I've probably broken my thumb, is there anyone else coming? Or do they look like they're gonna try and fix the door?
It seems like they're more interested in trying to fix the door, but you could make a perception check if you want to tell if someone is nearby. Well, close enough to check in before they try to fix the door.
I will. It would require a strength, right? Or what? I guess I'll just. I'm just gonna try and yank my hand out.
All right. Yeah. I'll say this is an athletics check.
Would it be the regular way of trying to end the grappled condition?
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but I was like, how can you like weasel your way out of a door?
Get a little bit of butter your hand out.
A little bit of manual contortionism.
Yeah.
Just be a cat.
Just be a cat.
Nope.
Yeah, you try to like give your hand a good couple tugs, and it seems like it's stuck.
Do I notice that the door isn't closing?
Yeah, you were probably walking forward, and you haven't heard the door click shut yet.
Okay, I'm going to try walking over and try to like push the door open a little bit, and then like kind of like go to like slam it closed, like kind of like, you know, like you're like winding up for like a good slam, but like open it up just enough for his hand to get out before I like try to close the door.
More or less the car door strategy if you get like your coat stuck in it.
Yeah.
I've slammed my hand in a car door, and like, oh my god, Faris for the next few days is not gonna feel good.
Yeah.
It's got black fingernails.
Yeah. I'll let you do your own athletics check for getting it open. However, it will be at disadvantage because this is kind of the second check in a row of the same kind.
You have to like awkwardly position yourself to not bump into
But
invisible
Faris
Faris.
out of the way, or crush his fingers more because you can't see them.
Yeah, I just slammed the door on his fingers again. Alright, well, here we go. Athletics.
Yeah, disadvantage.
Oh
those
my
are great
god.
rolls. I can't even lucky this. And I don't
You could
know
lucky away the disadvantage
Yeah, but that's
if
still
you
like
want to.
12.
It's still
which
3.
is-
11,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you can use second wind, right?
Yes, that would not be enough on its own, so the second wind would apply.
It's only a D10 though. I might as well try it.
On
I get it back
average,
if it
that's gonna
fails.
increase it to like 13.
You know, we're going back to the roots here, where the classic enemy of D&D is just a door.
It really is.
Yes.
Alright, second wind. If it fails, I get the second wind back anyway, so. Okay, so we're up to 16.
Yeah, 16. So you're able to come down. You position one hand on the like it's on the underside of the door, one on the top side, and you just force it open. Faris, you're free. You probably stumble forward a little bit, and then Quin, you just slam it back shut, and the door is closed, and you made it through to the other side.
This is awful because I can't even see what my state my hand is in.
Dripping
It just
invisible
hurts.
blood everywhere.
I'll kind of try to walk and talk, and just under my breath, I'll be like, Faris, are you there?
Do a stealth check.
Then I won't do it. if it's
It's not for them noticing you. It's more or less for you to like to figure out. I guess no, it'd be investigation to find Faris, right?
Yeah, I'd
Technically
be.
perception.
Yeah, I'd be keeping up with him. Like I'd be within, maybe behind him.
Okay,
So I
fair
don't-
enough.
I don't bump into anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Continue then.
Okay. So yeah, under my breath, I'll just speak. Faris, are you there?
Yes.
You got out there, Crow.
Yes. Yes, I'm there.
I wasn't expecting you to slip by there. Were you why the door wasn't closing?
My hand was.
Oh. That sounds painful.
Yes, very.
Well, I appreciate you sneaking through. This
Yeah.
is quite the daunting task, so it's
Just
comforting to know I have backup.
Just in case you need a getaway.
Very well.
We might need a spot for me to be visible again, so keep a lookout for that.
Or would you like to keep slipping by? Because I imagine we have more checks to go through.
Okay, it's only an hour, so I'll give you a 10-minute warning.
Alright. Okay, so now we gotta find where Kane's at. Can I take a look around and see which areas are the most require the highest level of like clearance to go through?
Yeah, give me an investigation check.
Okay. It's not history, no. I definitely haven't been here. Gosh, these are terrible.
Ugh.
9.
Yeah, you're struggling to figure it out because there's just no one here to kind of tell you what rank someone is, and therefore the places they're avoiding would be like
Wait.
the higher ranked ones. But there's just no one here.
You gonna second wind or lucky it?
I'll go through them so fast. I take it there's no maps or anything on the walls, right? No convenient "you are here" sign.
Like there is a map, but it's more for like an engineer to use.
Okay.
So rather than focusing on the different rooms and things, it's focusing on different mechanisms.
Right. Could I potentially look at that and see if there's any areas in particular that have additional security mechanisms in place?
Do you have tinker's tools, carpenter's tools, or smith's tools?
Nope.
Yeah, then I would say that you would probably not really know how to read the information it's trying to give you and parse it with what you're trying to find.
Okay.
Currently, the directions you can go are left, right, and there is an elevator in front of you. And it's kind of like a circular pathway at this point, or rather, I should say it's more prominently, like the whole station's circular, but it's so big that it doesn't feel that way on the outer sides.
Should we just go for the elevator, Faris, and hope for the best?
I was thinking the same thing. People with superiority complexes always go on the top floor.
That was my thoughts. Alright, we're gonna try going up the elevator.
Okay. And I'll be back in 30 seconds, but while I am away, we'll be swapping back to the other team when I return. So maybe if you want to plan something.
How do we plan to get into the prison if we want prisoners out? I don't know.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, we need to see what the setup is. My guess
Yeah.
is we're probably gonna need to find a way to get a code cylinder.
Yeah.
Does Daelen have Mage Hand by chance?
No.
X might be able to nick one.
Yeah, the problem is if usually like the best bet we have is like taking out a few constructs and then taking their place in the line or whatever.
Yeah, if we can find somewhere where there's some to take out without
Because if
drawing
there's
too much attention, that would work.
Yeah, if there's not enough cylinders anymore, if we take them, then there's, you know, a problem.
Just do a maxination.
That's a word for it. Let's see if I have anything. I could have taken one spell that could have been useful here, but I did not think of that. Unfortunately.
Yes, we pressed pause.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm back as well.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Ice, are we still good? I don't know if you pushed the actual like pause button on the stream or not. Oh, there's always the second way of checking on it.
Man,
Yep. We're still streaming. Okay. So, last time you guys were told by Quin where to check for the prisoners before he disappeared from the telepathic bond. And coming up on this area, you're noticing that there is the section looks well like a prison. There's a few different cells, however, like you remember on back in Skull Island, these are like cages, more like, so that they can move prisoners around if necessary. And while there's a few here, there also seems to be a platform that goes deeper into Skyforge as well.
So
And
are there prisoners in these cages that we're seeing now?
yeah, you see a couple unicorns in a few of these cages. And they don't look like they are particularly well off. So they look like they've been either sleeping poorly or not eating enough, or possibly both, but they look kind of ragged. And obviously there's a bit of a higher concentration of troops around this area as well because of this.
Alright, so casting spells is gonna be sketchy then.
Yeah,
Alright.
it'll be a bit more difficult because they want eyes on this location.
Does it seem like there's a checkpoint of any kind here?
Yes, but it seems like it's more for the what do you call it? Like the platform that raises and lowers. That they put cages on, that they would put cages onto to bring them into somewhere. You're not exactly sure, but that's where the checkpoint is, but not for these a few cages set up around this area.
Okay. Roughly how many prisoners are there here?
There's currently 5. There's capacity for a lot more, but they don't have too many here.
How difficult would it be for me to cast a message here?
What are the components of message? I believe it has verbal in there.
No, it's
No.
somatic and material.
Yeah, you only whispered the message.
And even then, only the receiver hears it.
Yeah. Now, fortunately for you, I do believe the component is a copper wire.
It's a bit of wool.
No, it's a
Um,
copper wire.
Oh, okay.
It's a copper wire, yeah.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of minor illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I would have you do is do a sleight of hand to try to make the motions seem a bit more normal. If you were
Okay,
to try to cast it.
29.
Now, I will say, the more times you cast message, because it can only do short bursts, the higher the DC is going to get. But obviously a 29 will succeed for your first one.
I'm a hold off for now.
Okay.
Can I see anywhere somewhat nearby that looks like it has a little bit less of a patrol where we could maybe try to hold some sort of conversation?
With each other or with the prisoners?
With each other.
Yeah, you can kind of like back down the hallway you came from a little bit and you know, watch a guy walk by and give him a nod or something and then wait for a break and yeah.
How far am I from the prisoners?
From this point,
Yes.
you would probably be about 250 feet
Okay.
away.
Okay.
Then we get within 30 feet of them pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm assuming you got like somewhere around that close to at least one of them before you
Okay.
came back this way.
Okay. Alright,
Yeah.
I don't know what they have down that elevator, but there might be more people down there.
Do you think we might be able to get the location of the resistance from the prisoners that are up here?
Maybe.
Possibly. We just gotta look for... Are all the prisoners like look like they're from here, or are there any like other species?
There are a couple from different worlds, but they're mostly from Valencia.
I guess if we need to figure out some sort of identification that we can pinpoint someone down. There's a lot of Valencian people, probably.
Were most of the guards... Like, how heavily were the guards actually watching the prisoners as opposed to looking away from them? My question is, if I was to do sort of the, blink twice if you need help sort of thing, where I try to have them make subtle gestures to communicate information, would they be able to do that without a whole bunch of eyes from the guards on them?
Yeah, at least a couple times it could very easily do something like that without being noticed. The guards are mostly just moving back and forth and standing there.
Okay.
So, what we could do is send you in, since you can just do free telepathy. I know it's only one way, but you could do the whole subtle gestures thing. Find out if any of them have the location of the resistance, and then since Max has message and he's got basically a free message or two on him, we can try to get it that way, since that is two-way.
All right.
The hard part's going to be proving to them that we're not actually Armada people. Or I suppose they could just make investigation or checks to see through the illusion if we tell them.
Yeah, my DC would be 18 or 17. I wasn't in 8 sorcery.
Well, something tells me most Armada soldiers aren't capable of telepathy.
Fair enough.
That sounds like a good plan.
All right. So I guess we will start heading back towards them.
All right.
And as we get kind of close, I am going to say to one of them telepathically, we're on your side. Are any of these prisoners with the resistance? Blink once if yes, blink twice if no.
They look up and kind of at you a little quizzically, and you get two blinks from 4 of them, and one of them just continues to look down.
Okay. What species is the one that's looking down? Like, is there some sort of descriptor or designation I can use to point that individual out to Max?
Yeah, this one's a blonde gerbil.
Okay, I will say to Max, I think that gerbil in there might be part of him. Of course, there's a possibility that some of the others are lying, because,
So oh, I can't respond, okay. Alright, I'm trying to think of a way to... Trying to think of some way that we could maybe get him to trust us, because yeah, this kind of sounds like he knows something and he's just not acknowledging it because he's paranoid. I mean, for good reason, but still.
Yeah.
Looking through inventory.
So let's see, I'm trying to picture. So there's sort of like I guess like a little room kind of off the side of the hallway, and there are guards presumably in and patrolling in front of that room that has the prisoners in it, and then like inside that room there's an elevator that goes deeper. I picturing this correctly?
Yeah, more or less. There's like, yeah, little like sections built into the wall that they can like push these cages up to, and the cages have the whole area has like a bunch of like wheels it can use to move the things around without having to bring over like a crane or anything, and the elevator is built to work with that design, so you could like move a cage over to the elevator and then continue downwards with it.
The cages, yeah, obviously the cages are locked. Presumably, a cage can't fit out of the room, right? Could a cage be wheeled out of the room?
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't be able to leave the room. Once it's out of the room, you would then need like a cart or something.
So, okay, a ship in a bottle is used as identification outside of the Armada, right?
In some places.
In some places, okay. Still, Armada don't use ships in bottles.
Yeah, that is correct.
How big is a ship in a bottle? Is it small enough that I would be able to show it to this guy without many people or anyone noticing potentially?
Yeah, you would be able to do that if you're able to get if you're able to get his attention, you could probably show it off to him.
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna use a message to explain that to Devin to try to convince him to look up. Just I could do it to the gerbil himself, but that might take multiple castings if he doesn't believe me. Meanwhile, Devin could just do it indefinitely to try to convince him.
Okay, so you're going to cast message.
Yeah, to Devin.
Well,
tell
we
him to
can
try...
we can just regroup back at our previous.
That's true.
hiding point.
We're going back and forth in multiple passings, aren't we? Okay. Yeah, we're gonna do that instead. Not gonna waste a message.
Okay, are you going back to the same place? Or you're going to try to find a different place to group up here?
I think we should try to find a different place.
Yeah.
Okay, Max, make a survival check, as I assume that y'all would want him to make it.
Yes.
Yes.
Alright. Uh, 21.
All right, yeah, you're able to find another suitable location to have a conversation.
Okay. I have an idea here. We can use. I'll touch Max and I'll cast Silent Speak on him. I'll paste the spell just so it's easier.
Are you sure you want to do that? Because, as I understand it, Silent Speak just turns all of my speech into bubbles, which is gonna make message impossible.
I guess you can tell me, but basically the idea is it only it appears only to the people that you want to communicate with.
Oh.
Sounds like a comic book.
Selective comic book. Interesting.
It's a spell that you can twin too.
Yep.
All right, I guess we can try that.
Yeah. So, Daelen will just tell Max like to try and speak, and then like colorful letters come out of his mouth, basically.
I'd imagine if it was accompanied by like Banjo Kazooie voice grunts.
Yeah, whoever who like reads it hears like this mumble jargon across the room, maybe. All right. Yeah, you've got silent speak going.
All right.
Yeah. Go try and talk to them and see if you can get anything.
All right. On our next pass, Max is gonna say, "Hey, if I can prove it to you, would you be able to tell us where the resistance is? We're trying to get their help here."
Okay, he looks up. He looks up about halfway through what you're saying, and doesn't seem like he got the first half.
Max will repeat it.
All right, at this point, he is going to raise an eyebrow and softly tap his mouth and then shake his head.
I'm gonna say telepathically to Max. Okay, so my guess is he just doesn't have a way to convey that information from here.
Okay, I'm gonna use a message on the gerbil. And
So, can you make the verbal component at this point for message?
There is no verbal component. Oh,
Right.
you mean for the whisper?
Yeah.
I mean, I can technically speak. It's just text, I guess.
Yeah, there's
I
just
don't
no
know.
sound coming from
Yeah.
him.
Well, I guess to be fair, like, even if your sound doesn't reach him, you could still have it come out as silent speak. But
Well,
yeah.
yeah, it would come out as silent speak. He doesn't need to hear me. This is more to get him to be able to communicate with me.
All right. This is the first time you're casting this out in the open, right?
Yeah.
All right. So make the sleight of hand check.
All right, 29. Is okay. Okay, 39. Does that save me a check because it was a nat 20?
No, but I'll let it go a bit longer than I was intending.
All right. He's gonna say, "All right, if you know where they are, you can respond to me this way. If I need to prove it, just blink once for yes, blink 2 for no, or I guess." Okay, no, he's gonna say, "Blink once if I need to prove it. Otherwise, just tell me where they are."
He blinks once.
All right. Max is just gonna kind of, as we're passing the cage, he's gonna kind of turn with his back toward the cage and show the ship in a bottle, like flash it for a brief instant before putting it back away.
All right, and he will say, Why are you trying to find the resistance? From the looks of it, you're a pirate. From that Skull Island, I believe.
Hang on, trying to get the story all together in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help, I can't hear the conversation.
You can see what Max is saying.
Yeah,
I guess I can see what Max is saying.
you can hear you can see his Animal Crossing talk, but not what he's responding to.
Does it do like does it do like the third person thing? Like Max walks up to the cell, sweat going down his head.
Only if he wants it to do that.
It's like
Okay, so
narrow-
this is gonna sound really weird, but so the Armada's trying to get to El Dorado, and we're trying to stop them, and we figure, well, we're gonna need help to do that. So if we could get the Resistance's help, we might be able to, you know, cause some big problems for everything going on here.
I will add. We're from Skull Island, but I don't know that I'd necessarily call us pirates.
All right. And he's going to. He'll respond.
He can't respond.
Didn't you use message?
I did, but it's only one back and forth, and then I have to cast it again.
Okay.
Is that good enough for you? The blink thing works, just one for yes, two for no.
He blinks 3 times.
What
I
do you
don't know
mean?
how to interpret that.
Probably inconclusive.
Alright, I guess Max will message again.
All right. Do you always have to be the initiator, or can it start from the other person?
I have to be the initiator.
Okay.
Alright, so I'll do that and say, go on, I can only do this so many times before they're gonna catch on.
Yeah. Speaking of which, roll the sleight of hand check again.
34.
All right. He responds. I'm uncertain as to why Skull Island would suddenly show interest in assisting us ever since they turned their backs on us. And how do you know that they want to go after El Dorado? Is such a thing possible?
A
Max,
lot of
what'd he
things.
say?
He basically is suspicious because Skull Island turned their backs on Valencia before, and he's asking if it's even possible for them to get to El Dorado.
We're from Skull Island. We're not necessarily officially affiliated with it. We're freelancers. I don't know if it's possible for them to get to El Dorado or not, but they're going to try.
He's gonna want to know how we know this. I wouldn't suppose that magic is a good enough answer for you.
And he'll turn a hand like in kind of like that you know, whatever that gesture's called.
So,
The
no.
maybe gesture.
Hand kind of wiggles from side to side.
Yeah.
The best answer I can give is we had a friend who experienced a vision. Regardless, we have other reasons to want to try to hurt the Armada, even if they're not attempting to go to El Dorado.
We destroyed the beachhead over in Marylebone, so quite frankly, we're the best help you're gonna get.
Do a persuasion check.
Okay, if I make it?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Can you get advantage since Max is helping? Max is proficient with persuasion.
Sure.
$19.
All right. He gives. He kind of gives a quick like thumbs up by flicking his thumb up and then tucking it back under again.
All right, Max will do one more message.
All right, make another sleight of hand check.
Watch this be the nat 1.
Please no.
33.
All right.
All right, give us as precise of a location as you can.
All right, and he says there are different cells of resistance members in each city. However, the last incursion we tried to do together was we met together at Captain Steed's villa, which is located on an island to the northwest. It's just off the coast and should be near a storm gate. Forsaken storm gate.
It's off the coast. To the what of a safe Forsaken storm gate?
He said it was just next to the Forsaken storm gate.
Max will repeat that to Devin. And then he's
Thank
gonna
you.
say, yeah, Max will repeat thank you. We probably can't get you out of here, but at least not right now. Hopefully we'll be able to get you out of here if we can cause a ruckus.
What's your name?
I
And-
know.
No, I guess I can't get that information back, can I?
Yeah, he's gonna shrug his shoulders at that.
Right, well, we'll get out of here before we draw any more attention. Thanks again.
Yeah. He more or less lies back down, kind of like where he was before.
And I will relay, I guess, one at a time to Max and Daelen. I don't know that there's a whole lot else we can do. Should we just go back to the rendezvous point?
I think that would be best.
Yeah, I don't think we can do anything for these people right now.
All right. Meanwhile, in the elevator, Faris and Quin, you notice that there is a spot for a code cylinder inside of the elevator, and there's, like all elevators have, many buttons labeled of different varieties, big and small, A to C, in a grid.
The vending machine elevator.
One order of cane, please. Okay, I'll put in the code cylinder, and I guess look for a button for like the top floor.
All right, yeah. A, B, or C?
Is it like A on the bottom, B in the middle, and C on the top, or what's
It's left to right.
Did it say? Was there a letter before we entered the elevator, like above it?
Yeah. So this was A.
All right, so I think it's C.
Yeah, we go for C.
All right. You push the button and you hear the clattering, and you feel the pull of gravity as you begin to go upwards, and then you hit what you think is the top floor, and then the elevator begins to start moving horizontally.
Whoa, what?
And then eventually it comes to a stop and lurches forward once again. And when it opens up, you see a large and opulent room in front of you, where there's a lot of different, like, not necessarily artifacts, but oddities that you can tell are from different worlds, strewn about the room. And there's a bunch of large doors in the area. There's about 5 in total, and you see a tall figure, not as big as Rook is necessarily, and he has a gold-rimmed mask, and he's wearing a black and gold captain's jacket, and he looks at you and says, "Rook, what is
Yes.
your complete report on the occupation of Marleybone?"
The Marleybonians have put up a bigger resistance than we initially expected. But I think that the benefit of holding beachside is beginning to degrade, and so I pulled out, especially when I heard about a certain expedition that was being planned.
The expedition that was planned is one that we had put into motion long before Beachhead was settled there. However, returning at this point in time is still advantageous to us. How severe was the damage dealt to the Marleybonians?
It was rather high. We made sure to lure in as many as we could before I gave the order to pull out and to detonate the station, taking as many Marleybonian soldiers as I could.
Good. Then I believe that this will work in our favor. For we will be in need of your expertise and command as we mount the Odyssey towards the sacred city.
Indeed. I am pleased to hear that you request my assistance. I was concerned that I wouldn't be involved given the lack of orders I had received recently.
Your orders were given precisely as they were needed and precisely as planned. I consider your use in Marleybone to have been fulfilled, and we may now turn to better matters.
Indeed. Speaking of those matters, I have been aware while we were pulling out of Beachhead that there is growing plans within the rebellion. It appears that they know of our intentions to go for the sacred city.
They, as in the Marleybonians.
No, sir. The Valencian resistance.
How did you acquire the knowledge of the resistance in Valencia while inside of Beachhead at Marleybone?
Before destroying the station, there was a Marleybonian spy that I was able to capture and shortly interrogate before taking care of him. They seem to have had contact with the resistance, and Marleybone is not, of course, planning on opening anything officially with them, but they did share that one tidbit of information. With this in mind, sir, I would like to suggest potentially delaying our plans while we try to make sure that nothing unseemly can happen to disrupt operations.
We will not delay, Rook, and this is the last I will hear of such discussion. If you fail to stop Marleybone, atone for it during the Odyssey. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
We have a few days to prepare for the Odyssey. If this attack is... There's no possible way that it could disrupt our fleet enough to stop our expedition. But if you're worried, where are these rebels hiding?
That I wasn't able to get the information from. I was wondering if Deacon had reported anything that he was able to find out.
Deacon is predisposed with more important matters. However, the information of our intent leaking out, he suspected may have been done by a small adventuring party.
Is that the one with the defective dragoon?
Yes. He suspected that they learned of El Dorado and assumed our interest in it for some time. They've shown their hand.
And what do you suppose they'll try to do then?
I suppose that they will try to do something rash. Either beat us to the sacred city, or they'll come here. And fortunately for you, you are not necessary for our defense here. I've already prepared for that occasion. They will not last out in the spiral by themselves, trying to reach it as we have. Only a fleet of ships could accomplish such a task with it being far enough away, but we've calculated for such events. Deacon suspects that these rebels might be in Zavella. So, if you are truly concerned about them, destroy the city.
Wouldn't there be major repercussions from such an action?
We no longer need to play King Casimir's game. Once the Odyssey is initiated, we will no longer have need of Valencia. Nor do they have the means of fighting back, even if they wanted to. But I suspect that the loss of the town would not even reach their ears.
If I might cut in here, I'm invisible right now. Is there anything around the room during this conversation I can see that looks important that I could potentially swipe?
Behind Kane, since he kind of stood up and walked around his desk, there is a chart of the spiral open.
Okay. I don't want to... this is a stretch here. I don't want to take that, but can I look at it and kind of using my calligraphy knowledge, just kind of get that down in my memory?
I'll have you make a history check at advantage. And for every 5, I'll let you recall one detail from it down the line.
Okay. This is going to be a straight roll while at advantage, but...
Yeah, calligraphy tools give you advantage.
No! Well, 1.
All right. As you begin to study it, Kane grabs it from you and folds it up and puts it in his jacket.
Okay.
Was El Dorado marked on it?
Is
That
that
would
the one
be-
thing you want from it?
Yeah, that was what I was going to go for if El Dorado was marked on it.
Yeah. If that's what you were specifically looking for, then I will tell you that yes, it was.
Okay.
And I won't have it count against your question since that's, again, what your primary objective was.
Okay. I would like to have like a specific route through the spiral based on what he said. Like he said we would need a fleet to get there, and I want to see if there's something strange about the route they're taking.
It looks like they're planning to voyage through deep space more, rather than using a storm gate or anything of that nature or anything like that. It's a chart going between Valencia and Mushu, but rather than taking the spiral path, it just deviates from it.
All right. So it's between Valencia and Mushu, and it kind of goes off the spiral.
Yep.
All right.
All right. And what is your response to being told to burn Savella down to the ground, Quinn?
Well, if you do not think the Resistance is a proper threat or deacon, then I suppose such an action is, or such a concern is unwarranted. You are right that we have a strong fleet and a strong position.
Yes. Though, why bring it up if you are going back on your word now?
I brought it up to be fully transparent about the information I was able to acquire, but this is more of Deacon's specialty. You know that I'm more of the just hit things, so I'd rather not redeploy resources onto something that is ultimately not beneficial and could be accomplished at any time we wanted, especially right before we're about to engage in a major assault that requires our attention.
Yes, very well. Now, since your last transmission of beginning your ploy to lure the Marleybonians to Beachhead, your flagship, the Executioner, remains docked on Spoke A. When we begin the Odyssey, I want you to take point with it.
Yes, sir. Would it be okay if I went over our invasion plans while I'm here with you? I would like to make sure that I am fully aware of the details and anything that might have changed while I was away.
The only major thing you need to know is that your objective is to make first contact with what they have called aberrations in the spiral. You will lead the fleet through them, and you will destroy them. And then once we land, we will have to continue. You will just have to simply follow my lead. But it will be a similar occupation to that in Skull Island.
Do you mean, when you mentioned the occupation, are you speaking to the ruins that we've secured?
Yes, the ruins of Zolakul have been a successful occupation.
I see. And how many ships will I have at my command to carry out this mission to destroy the spiral aberrations?
You will have another 5 vessels behind you as we continue in a staggered formation.
I see. And you'll be leading the ground assault when we reach there.
Yes, I will.
Should we be expecting resistance of undead and things similar to what we found in Skull Island, or are the dangers different?
What lies in El Dorado, no man can say.
I see. And does Bishop have any devices that he thinks he's so cleverly cooked up to help us here?
Bishop always has something planned, but that is not your area to concern yourself with.
Well, I just ask it because it seems like I'm always being surprised with some sort of invention out of nowhere from him.
Kane, at this point, is going to get up close to you. And he's going to try to put an arm on your shoulder.
Okay. I do have the exoskeleton. So, I guess I'll try to subtly position myself so his arm lands on the frame of the exoskeleton.
All right. In order to do that inconspicuously, I'm going to have you do a stealth check.
Okay.
Yeesh.
So, I assume I have disadvantage because I'm in heavy armor still.
Yes, that would be the case.
Okay, I'm going to use a luck point just straight up to just do that as a straight roll. Okay, this is a +0. Awesome. Okay, and then I will add my second wind. Please be good, second wind. That's not that good.
Do you have a luck point to make it at least 15?
I think I do.
I don't know if I'm allowed to do that from here.
Yeah, I'll let luck points come from wherever if you want to spend them.
Yeah, he just thinks of you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and spend 2 to make it a 15.
Okay. You barely manage to reposition your like shambled pauldron in time for him to put a hand on it, and he says, "Rook, you need not question what comes your way." When I send for someone, it is part of the plan, and you are better off listening to me. The moment you fail to do so, the moment you fail.
I understand, sir. I meant no apologies. I merely ask out of strategic value. I won't question you again on this.
Very well, and he takes his hand off of you.
Real quick, Fire Alley. When he put his hand on me, did it seem like he was trying to do it as if to see if I was real, or just like as a commanding kind of a gesture?
Do an insight check.
I'm very good at these. 17.
You get the feeling that he is definitely becoming more suspicious of you as time progresses.
Okay. Alright. I guess a quick look around the room. Is there anything else of note?
The main thing that was there was the chart that Kane is pocketed at this point now. And he just says to you, make the preparations needed to get your flagship ready to fly. And he turns around and begins to walk towards the door in the middle of the room.
Yes, sir. And I'll turn to go back to the elevator.
I will follow him.
All right.
While we go, do I get a glance of what's beyond the door that Kane's going through?
Do a perception check. I suppose either one of you could do this if Faris wanted to stake out for it.
I'm pretty bad at perception checks. Are you any better?
I am better at that. I've got a +4.
Okay, I'll let you do it then. And you can second wind it, so
Yeah.
if you think it deem it important.
Yeah, I probably won't, because I'm very afraid of getting caught. Okay, well, I guess we don't learn.
Yeah. All right, so you make your way to the elevator.
Yeah.
All right, so you continue back down. Do you say anything in the elevator? Or are you just trying to get out of here ASAP?
How long is the elevator ride? How was it?
It's a pretty big structure, so I'd say it's probably like 5 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. I will say to him, I got a little look at that chart he had. It seems like they're planning on going somewhere between Valencia and Mushu. They're going into deep space, though.
Quin is kind of like still as a statue while Faris is saying all this, and then kind of all at once, like a bunch of tick just tick kind of goes off, and then he kind of shakes his head and is like, "Sorry, what was that? That was
Oh yeah,
probably
he was
the most terrifying thing I've ever done."
Yeah, he was quite the intimidating fellow. The chart that he pocketed, I saw before he swiped it too fast, but I saw they're planning on getting to El Dorado between Mushu and Valencia, and they're just going off into deep space.
Yes, that's also what he told me. It sounds like he wants Rook to lead the charge and just blast away any space aberrations that they come across.
Well, we're pretty good at that, so. But okay, they want us to do that, so what if we try to avoid them then? To sabotage, that might be our sabotage, is we get around the aberration somehow.
Yes, we could try just taking the course ourselves and beating them there. I was hoping that they would group up a little more, but it sounds like they'll be in a staggered formation, which makes the idea of taking them all out with an explosion or ramming ships a low prospect, unfortunately.
Yeah. So just enemy of the enemy is my well, in this case, aberrations of my enemies are our friends.
Yes, it appears that way. I do wish I knew how many days out this was taking place. Kane was evasive on that particular detail.
He said just a few days. So, well, a few is 3, but it's ambiguous sometimes. A couple is 2, a few is 3.
Yes.
Faris, you would know that chart. What he wasn't being completely truthful when he said a few. It's not a small journey.
Oh.
But like they're setting out in a few days.
Yeah, but the journey they're taking is long.
I don't know the exact amount, just not.
Yeah, you know that this is not like a normal like amount of time span. It's going to be longer than a week for certain.
Okay, so from what I saw of the chart, it's gonna take. They might be departing in a few days, but it's gonna be a very long expedition, it seems.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think we've pushed our luck quite a bit, though. Before we leave, I think we should take a look at the executor. 1, to keep up appearances, and 2, to take a look at it. I wonder if we could stow away in it somehow, or do something else with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having an Armada ship. Let's head towards there.
All right. At this point, the doors open and you're back close to where you entered for spoke E.
Can I? Okay. If we go past that checkpoint again, could I just be like a backpack on Quin, where he kind of grab onto his back, kind of monkey style?
The thing that Quin would have to do a performance check to pass off as not carrying someone around on his shoulders, and also to not smash your head into the ceiling.
Okay. I guess I'm just gonna try and press my luck and sneak back fast.
How far away is Spoke A?
Spoke A is to your southwest from the hub.
Southwest. Okay.
Yeah, so it's over here.
Just like here.
Yeah.
I take it. How much time do we have left in the day?
You would getting back to the ship would be like the last amount of time you'd have with seeming. At least with this seeming.
I could refresh it for us if needed, but
Yeah. Both of the ships are going to be about the same distance away from where you are.
Oh, I wish we had telepathic bond.
perhaps let's just try to meet up with the others. And then go from there.
That sounds good. I don't know if there's a specific time frame we have to get there by. We might be able to just meet up with the others, take the ship over to the spoke, and then I could use disguise self to just check it out without having to use such a powerful spell.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do that. Could we perhaps move our ship over to the spoke? Well, the one Catbeard is on, because we don't want to leave him behind.
Yeah, you would be able to move it over there, but you would have to like start protocols over again.
The dock there.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of protocols, while we're kind of musing about this, I'm going to go over to one of the desks here and request them to update my protocols with the orders Kane gave to lead the charge on the executioner.
All right. They ask for your current cylinder, and then they're going to ask you to wait for 1 hour for it to be completed.
Hour?
1 hour.
How close does that cut us to getting back to the ship?
You're pretty sure that you would need to refresh your disguises before you would make it to the ship. Unless you're absolutely keyholing it, but then you might draw some attention to yourselves.
I could, if you have disguise self, I can just pop invisibilities and when it's about to run out.
Yes. Do you want to head back, and then I can just catch up with you?
Well, you want me to go to the spoke, or do you want me to go to the ship?
Go to the ship. I think we should regroup.
Okay. I will go to the ship. Will they ask me for anything, do you think?
They might. DMs. We didn't. It was just to get into this main like high area. We were asked for the cylinders, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think you'd be good with invisibility. You could probably slip by and then just head back to the ship.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're not going to need code cylinders to get back to our ship.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, then that's where I will go.
Don't forget to grab us on the way.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay.
I guess I'm gonna try and meet up and then go back to the ship. So I'm gonna go to the spoke and then the ship.
Okay. How are you gonna get past the door on the way back out? You gonna just wait for someone to pop it open and try to sneak back through?
Yeah. Gonna try and push my luck. I got a +5 in stealth, but
All right. Yeah. While you're waiting, Quin, eventually one of the higher ranking dragoons comes by and then puts in a code cylinder and the door opens. And feel free to make your stealth check, Faris.
all right. If you can give me a distraction of somehow, I would be appreciated. As I'm gonna go for it.
want me to make a distraction?
Yeah, anything.
Is there like any chairs or buckets somewhere like I could like stub my toe or something?
Uh, yeah, there might be like a crate of materials here waiting to go to the factory that you might be able to hit.
Oh, perfect. They're just there temporarily.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any constructs who are like in the act of like hauling them or watching over them?
Yeah, currently that it's tied up on the other side. They're working with the Dragoon first and that one second. But his goods have already passed through to this side of the door.
Oh, so they're just like waiting in queue then, or
Like the supplies are near you, but yes, the guy on the other side is waiting in queue.
okay, and it's just on the ground.
Yeah.
I'll walk by it, kind of going as if I'm, going somewhere else, and then I'll clip it with my toe to like hopefully make a loud noise, and then kind of staggering a bit, I'll be like, "Soldier, you should be holding on to goods when they are being carried." And that's my distraction.
All right. Faris, I'll give you a +2 to your check for that.
All right. 26.
All right, you easily maneuver past the Dragoon as it like turns around and then makes like a sighing sound, turns back again, then crosses through. All right, and yeah.
All right, and I'm just heading towards the spoke to meet up with the rest of the party.
Yeah. For all intents and purposes, as long as you use that spell slot or whatever you have to cast Disguise Self, Quin, I'll let you all reconvene.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and you would have to. Are you key hauling it? Or are you going to do the invisibility on yourself again?
I'll find like once I'm across in a
Oh yeah.
area, I'm still seeming, so
Yeah, the seeming will drop before you reach the ship, unless
yeah.
you're like booking it.
Well, he's got an hour head start. I thought he'd get there right before it
Oh
would
yeah,
drop.
that's right.
Yeah.
That was the
I'm-
point of the stealth.
Yeah, I'm meeting with the party.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you're all good then. You make it back to the ship. Maybe are you gonna meet on it, or are you going to go back to the smuggler's hold, or just near it?
I'm going to near it. Yeah.
I think we should go in the smuggler's
Yeah,
hole.
we probably want to be on the smuggler's hold when
Yeah.
seeming wears off.
Yeah. Just wait. I thought you meant like waiting for the rest of you guys. But yeah, I would go in the smuggler's hold.
Okay. So yeah, you've probably quickly said Quin's gonna be an hour late.
Yeah.
Get in the smuggler's hold, and then eventually Quin rejoins you as well.
Can we just kind of assume that in that time we kind of each shared our findings with each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went to all that trouble, and it sounds like we don't even have the time to get to the resistance, huh?
Probably not.
Can't say I was expecting them to just brute force their way through deep space, but guess they might have the firepower to do it.
They would be the only ones that could potentially do that.
The only thing I could think of is making a slight addendum to your plan, Faris, to not only let the aberrations through, but assist them.
Yeah.
The hard part is convincing a whole bunch of unknowable aberrations that were on their side.
Well, I think it's just the art of distraction. Well, you mean like negotiate with them?
Well, that would be ideal, but, I mean, as I said, unknowable.
Yeah.
Another problem is, presumably, we wouldn't be the only ones on Rook's ship. I don't think Faris has the ability to keep up disguises constantly for over a week.
No.
Not to mention, we'd be expected to not eat.
That would be problematic. I think there's a lot of complications. To
Problematic, that's all you have to say about it? We'd die, Quin.
That's
Oh.
true. I'm sorry. It's a lot to take in being back here. I forgot how cold this place was.
Technically, you could survive off not eating food for a week, but you would be very, very, very tired.
Max just kind of slowly looks at Daelen and says, "You're really even considering that option?"
No, I'm just.
Well, it's a moot point because we wouldn't be able to keep up disguises for that long anyway.
Yeah.
But it sounds like Quin can't even leave this place now. If he does, he's going to be expected to blow someone up. A whole bunch of someones, an entire city of someones.
Well,
Maybe.
That one I managed to get out of.
You know what I'm thinking is like we could have requested those explosives to deal with it and just conveniently put them here instead of in that place.
Yeah, we could have used those to blow up all of the windstones, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Well, opportunity lost.
I still have. I could do the disguises one more time, but that's it. Until we take a rest of an hour, then I could do it again. But
I'm not entirely convinced that even attempting this odyssey, as they call it, is really our best option.
yeah,
Me either.
I agree.
that's why I'm just suggesting. If we can't do that, I think Max has a point. Like, we didn't really accomplish much going here like this, so I think like just causing as much chaos here is the best course of action, maybe. On our
Quinn,
way out.
they were handing out those credential cylinder things nearby, weren't they? How exactly do they go about doing those? Do they encode it and then give it to you, or does it like come pre-encoded and they just hand it to you with like a base one?
DMs.
So it kind of depends on the code cylinder in question. As you go higher in rank, the more specific and longer they become. But if you're thinking about just like the base ones for the purposes of your own disguises, I would just say like to whom you are assigned to and like what what your job is under them.
Okay, so it's
Does
not
you-
something where Max could just sneak in and swipe one and it'd work.
your-
Not necessarily.
Do your
So-
orders include orders for your crew that would go onto the ship? Because that would give us code cylinders for those, I assume.
Do I know? Would Rook have the authority to pick his crew going on to the executioner, or is that
Yes,
something that
he would.
Okay.
How big
So
of a
I could
crew is he going to need?
potentially request them to make code cylinders for my own crew.
Bare minimum, he's going to need 11, but they're probably going to be recommending about 20.
What if we went to the Resistance and found some of them who came, and that's how we crewed the ship, as us and Resistance members?
That'd be great, but we don't really have the supplies for that sort of thing. We can't just bring a bunch of people out into deep space without food. It might be enough to cause trouble in here, though.
This executioner, what weaponry is on it? Is it just cannonballs, or is it... I mean, it's called executioner. I'd assume it must be potent at that. I don't know if Quin knows about this thing.
Quin would not. He was not assigned under Rook. He was assigned under Deacon.
Also, I came before Rook. I'm an old.
He did predate Rook too.
Okay, well, it's more modern, so that's
Well, hold on a second. They're expecting Rook to lead this thing with the Executioner. So, I mean, we don't even need to go out into the Deep Spiral. All we need to do is get rid of the Executioner.
I'm sure they'll be able to improvise around that, but it could help.
It'd definitely slow things down. If they're expecting the Executioner to be the main linchpin of the attack force to get in...
Yeah, they're spearheading it with the Executioner.
And they wouldn't have Rook's expertise to lead such a force. They wouldn't have the lead part of the force. They'd just have the backup ships, effectively.
What if
Granted, I don't know what a spearhead or what a staggered formation looks like.
if we give the Executioner to the Resistance?
If we could find a way to do that, I'm sure that would help.
I think that's a pretty decent idea. The Executioner is bound to be a powerful ship, so just removing it definitely cuts into the Armada's firepower. We might be able to potentially get the Resistance to help us set up an ambush for the Armada out in deep space as well.
Yeah, and if we hand the Resistance to an Armada flagship, they're like, I think they're going to be pretty indebted to us.
The
We
question
need
is
to worry
if
about them being indebted to us, but
Are we going to be able to embark with the Executioner here, or are they expecting it to stay in port? Then again, if we just decide to do it, I mean, what are they going to do? Well, probably shoot at it and try to either take it back or destroy it in the process, which destroying it in the process kind of accomplishes our goals, just
But
wouldn't
we
be the
die.
optimal outcome.
They would likely attempt to board it and figure out who's piloting it and whatnot.
That's true. If they believe that Rook is on the ship, then they're less inclined to try to just destroy it outright.
But it sounds like Kane's already suspicious in some capacity.
That is true. He's as cunning as I've heard, which is concerning.
Do we know anything about the Forsaken, quote-unquote, Stormgate?
My assumption is it's the one that leads to Polaris.
Hmm.
I was thinking it would be the one leading to Dragonspire.
One of the two.
Do we even have enough time to get there and back?
No, I'm just asking if that's important information in any way.
Well, it sounds like we can't get the Executioner away from here, so our best bet is just sabotaging it and destroying it somehow.
I guess DMs, from the conversations I did have with Rook, and kind of like what's written on my code cylinder, would Rook be authorized to like take the Executioner out early for like test or like test runs or like practice?
With your current code cylinder, no.
Okay.
The order. Well, give me an investigation check to kind of try to manually decode this like you did last time.
Okay. I'm going to second wind.
That ability is so cool.
It is great.
Oh,
One.
Yeah. Yeah, perhaps being scared has given you a new burst of willingness to learn. But yeah, so you're able to glean the orders on this are to more or less put that fleet of 6 ships, so the 5 ships plus the main ship together, and to recruit more, yeah, pretty much as you see fit, including experimental.
Experimental clockworks, or like, what do you mean by experimental?
Like, when you were first deployed, you were considered experimental.
Okay.
So it's not like newly deployed. It's not like newly deployed dudes. It's like a new unit.
Okay, that's interesting, because that implies that they have some sort of new weapon or new construct available.
just as an aside, too, we need 11 people to pilot that ship. And again, as Devin pointed out, we're only going to be disguised for so long.
I guess as part of those orders, so like, I couldn't take the Executioner out, but like, could we take like the whole fleet of the 6 vessels out preemptively?
No.
Okay.
What
So we
about
have
just
to
one
leave
of the
on
boats?
scheduled date.
But an alternative, if we need 11, so we can't take the executioner out.
No, or any of the other ships within that fleet.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess one other question. Looking at the code cylinder, does it provide a date for when these instructions are to be carried out and when the ships, or like when the fleet takes off?
Yeah, so the orders are expected to be fulfilled within the next 10 days.
Like in 10 days, or?
Yeah, that's still kind of vague for a military report.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean like yes, it would be 10 days is the expected time for it to finish. It's like if you
If the
do it
report
earlier,
early-
you might be able to get different orders, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, but the orders are currently 10 days.
Yes.
Would you be allowed to investigate the executioner? Just not take it out, but just kind of look around it?
They did say to get it ready to fly. But
Yeah. Then maybe let's do the opposite of that.
We're still gonna need 11 people, though.
No, I mean just, go aboard
yeah.
it
Well, yeah.
and take some stuff off. Maybe that windstone of it, and
We
Yeah.
could definitely sabotage it.
We could probably also sabotage the other ships.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then that would take out
Um,
their entire front line that's planning to spearhead the operation.
Yeah. So we got those cannonballs that take control of Clockworks. How long do they take control of them?
I think it's for a minute, but let me check. Cannonballs.
It says as if you were using dominate person, so however long that lasts.
Depends on the spell, the level used.
Well, like all items, it'd be like the lowest.
Okay, so that'd be 5th
it'd
level
be
for
1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute is dominate person, yeah.
Okay. So we couldn't magically get a crew for a date.
Yeah, it sounds like our only option here is to use the last seeming that we have in order to get into those 6 boats and sabotage them to the best of our ability. Then
We could have a rest over the night, but that would eat into our resources.
well, I mean, how many resources do we have?
I think I said 113. Let me check.
We should be okay in order to do that if we need a long rest. But then after that, it's just a matter of the rest of us could potentially go off and find the resistance to let them know that there's going to be lots of fireworks going on, and that if they're going to do something, now's a good time. But we'd still need to keep up Quin being here as Rook. Now, I don't know how feasible that is.
If the whole fleet blows up, I think that's more of a detriment than a positive if he stays here.
Well, yeah, but
I'm not-
if we sabotage it, the thing is, they're not really going to know that it's sabotaged until they try to leave port, in which point that would be at the 10th day.
Oh, okay. That's what you mean, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we could just... I mean, we can figure out a way to definitely blow up each ship then yeah, we should probably go ahead and do that and then just get the heck out of Dodge. I guess it would require knowing how these things run. I'm assuming they don't run off. Well, of course they don't run off of internal combustion, but the windstone is used for the flight. But are there other systems in place?
Yeah, there's like problem mechanisms that like manage the power structure and stuff like that.
Quin.
I assume Daelen would know at least like how windstones work properly, but
Yeah.
How easy they are to shatter.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
they need
Yeah,
to be like secured in a specific position in order to function correctly?
Yeah, though when windstones are installed in ships, they're given a good old fastening and so forth. Like they're constructed pretty hardy because most ships are assumed they're going to get shot at by at least something in the spiral.
So could we like loosen that up so that they're more prone to falling out of position?
Yeah.
That seems. I mean, that might work, but it seems like something that they'd be able to fix quickly.
This would probably need to like open it up and just tear out some wires and right.
Yeah, find some inconspicuous wires and just completely
Yeah,
wreak
I
havoc
was-
on the system.
I was thinking of like maybe there's like a way to overcharge them or something that like
Oh, overcharge them and blow them up that way.
yeah.
Yeah, I would think we would want to try to blow them up or like make sure that they're permanently damaged
Yeah.
or destroyed. Otherwise, they'll just patch it up and they lose like 2 days or whatever.
Yeah, it's gonna need to be permanent destruction of these ships.
Or something where nothing goes wrong until they're already out in the spiral, and at that point it's too late to fix it.
Yeah.
We don't have any explosives, do we?
We used up all of the goo we had from before, so I don't think so. We only have like cannonballs.
Maybe we can
Also-
MacGyver a cannonball into an IED.
Do they have any explosives here? I would imagine so.
Yeah, they would have pretty much most of the munitions you would want.
Well, then it should. Well, if we're preparing the ships, it should be super easy, barely any inconvenience to gather ordnance for that sort of thing.
Yeah, or just take the guns on ship and just point them to the deck. Just shoot the ship with its own stuff.
The
Yeah.
difficult part's gonna get all of that happening at the same time.
Well, yeah, that's kind of why I like the idea of doing some sort of subtle sabotage to the windstones so that they don't notice it. They get out into the spiral, they get attacked, the windstone falls out of position, and they're just kinda, up the creek without a paddle.
Only
Yeah.
problem with that is that we'd have to be on the boats.
We don't go with them.
Yeah, we preemptively do it. So
Well, we have to go with them. We're expected. Well, at the very least, Quin is expected to.
this is more so to take out their ships, and we're just gonna leave. I think is.
Well,
what-
how do we leave if we're on the boats?
Maybe we take this one. I mean, if we're taking out those ones, they're not gonna have as much firepower. I mean, they can still shoot at us with cannons, but
Exactly.
Well, we can sabotage every other ship except the one we leave on, but I don't know.
Yeah. I guess the thing is like if we want them to be sabotaged like halfway through the trip, then I imagine Quin needs to be in position the whole time because they're expecting Rook to be leading the charge. So at the
That
very
would mean that
least, I have
Faris
to
would
be-
have to be him to keep him disguised.
He has disguise
Right.
self, but seemingly
It only
That's
lasts
only
an hour.
Yeah.
And if we
So,
wanted to
I
go
mean-
off when we're in the spiral, like that's like a couple days between Skyforge and just to the Stormgate. So we're talking keeping up appearances for a couple days.
Yeah.
Without sleep or food.
Well,
I
you guys
mean-
could stay behind, and like I could go with Faris potentially, but I don't particularly like that idea.
I
That's-
mean, so I wonder if the Stormgate to Dragonspire might be less heavily guarded. If we could sabotage the ships and then make a getaway to there.
How would we make a getaway though? I mean, Quin is on the Executioner when they're leaving.
Well, we could just
Maybe.
blow it up and then just make a run for it.
Yeah, that seems like our only option is to rig these boats to explode, get ourselves off of the boats, have the boats explode, and then leave as fast as we can while they're trying to figure out what's going on.
Okay.
And inform the Resistance so that the Resistance knows they can attack.
We may need to leave Quin here while the rest of us go and find the Resistance. I mean, he doesn't necessarily need to be in sight at all times, does he?
I mean, one option is just scrying a heck ton of disguise self scrolls.
I don't know that we have time for that.
Yeah.
I need a printing press for spell tools.
Well, we
It-
can't do that because our rune crafting table is on our ship. So.
Well, that's a rune crafting table. We need scribing tools.
If I remember correctly, we need like the whatever the station is called for crafting spell scrolls.
Well, I think the most effective thing we can do, speaking of these hypotheticals, where something can go wrong in all of them, but if this place has explosives, I say we just raise hell here and just in that.
Yeah.
I agree. I say we just blow it up, we run like heck, and we just see if we can like maybe head to the Stormgate to Marley Bone or Mushu, and then
Yeah.
we can strike at them a second time while they're crossing the Astral.
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen?
Well, do we want to go for Marleybone? Because that Stormgate is going to be heavily guarded.
Yeah, I think we need to go to Dragonspire or Camp DV Mushu. It's either
Ideally, on our way to escape to Dragonspire to maybe take on Malister at this point, we could. It depends on what sort of numbers the Resistance have, but we could let them know, and then, with any luck, they'd be able to mount some sort of offensive to further delay everything.
well, I think our getaway too is the forbidden, whatever it is.
Yeah. Fire Alley, would I know where the Stormgate to Dragonspire is, or is that just something that would... never
Everything
come
you
up?
see on the map are the things you know the location of because of your time here.
Okay, so it's just... it just was a thing that never came up and no one really cared about.
Well, I'm sure the Resistance pocket that's there would probably know.
Yeah,
we
if
know-
we visit the Resistance, we'd probably get a map.
There's probably a Stormgate somewhere in this general area.
Yeah, that's where the Resistance pocket is.
So that leads to either Polaris or Dragonspire.
Yeah, process of elimination.
And Polaris isn't exactly. I mean, there's not really a reason why the Armada wouldn't want to go to Polaris, right?
They have horrible relations with them. I think the Stormgate is very heavily secured.
They have horrible relations, but they're also somewhat occupying it, or rather, the alliance that they created is occupying Polaris.
Okay, so that leaves. I guess that only leaves that gate as being Dragonspire then. Now, is a Forsaken Stormgate like turned off somehow, or is it still there? It's just no one's using it.
It's not like Forsaken Stormgate isn't a proper noun.
Okay. It was just what he was calling it.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
I think that
So-
sounds like our best course of action. Just blow up all the ships and make our escape, telling the resistance on the way what happened.
I wonder if we might want to find them first.
Might be a good idea. While we're doing that,
If we do that, then I'll need to check in at least
Yeah,
once to the executioner to keep up appearances.
yeah, exactly. So, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. We rest tonight to get Faris back up to full. And then Faris and Quin stay here to keep up appearances. And the rest of us go to inform the resistance, and then we come back, but we're probably going to need a coding cylinder once we get back, so that we can get back in to meet back up with those two.
Yeah, we could potentially look at trying to secure a code cylinder here if we do that.
You were asked to raise a town, correct?
Initially, but then I talked Kane out of that plan. It was basically, I was like, hey, there's resistant members, we should postpone it. And he said, no, and if you're so worried about it, just level the town. And I said, well, okay, never mind, it's not that important. And he said, alright, good.
Okay.
So, no orders to level the town. I managed to get out of that.
So if a superior was destroyed, say if Rook was destroyed, but his crew survived, how would they get back?
I imagine it would just go down the chain of command as far as like who takes charge.
And it seems like we need to decommission someone here.
Yeah.
Take that.
I mean, that'd be easy to do, just have him stop reporting back.
Yeah.
You don't-
Daelen, do you have proficiency with smithing tools?
Yes.
Do you have smithing tools with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't know, DMs, if this is possible, but can we make our own code cylinders with Daelen's skill set?
It would be challenging because he doesn't know the codes, but
Well, I could help him there.
But yes, you would also need access to a forge of some kind to make them.
Would it be
Yeah,
easier to do if Max could acquire a blank one?
Yeah, I think it would be. Depending on the type of code cylinder you're looking for. Like, if you're looking for Kustos ones, it would be significantly easier than, like, one of Rook's level.
Well, there are not too many of Rook's level.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I zoned out. What was that?
Grunts would be
I'm
fairly
sorry.
easy. No, it's all good. He was saying, like, grunts would be pretty easy to, like, replicate. Higher up would be tricky.
Alright, how big are these things?
they're, I want to say, like 6 to 12 inches. They get longer as the guy's rank is higher. So like Rook's is a full foot long, whereas the Custoses would only have 6 inches.
So about the size of like a immovable rod.
Yeah.
Well, I can stuff a whole bunch of those in my bag.
Imagine putting in a removable rod inside a construct and they just can't go anywhere.
Pocketing that idea. So
Yeah,
what
I
do you
think
think?
that's
You guys want Max to try to? Well, I mean, we're at time right now, but you think it might be worth it to get Max some of those, or for Max to get some of those?
If you have an idea of where, yeah,
Well, I mean, they were basically handing them out.
I assume those were already coded, so.
Yeah, the biggest thing is if we did that, then we would need me, Faris, you, and Daelen to all stay behind. Because we need Faris to keep illusions up. I have to be here to check in. And then Dalen's the one who actually is inscribing it.
Maybe that's something we can work on when we get back.
Yeah.
No, we can't do that because we need it to get back. Gosh darn it.
I think we just all together while we're here blow it up and then we just
Get out.
run. Yeah. And I wouldn't say
That
if we do that we have to be really careful because we could very easily just lead the armada straight to the resistance.
Yeah.
which would probably that's just another point in favor of going to the resistance first, because we could warn them what we're doing and that we're going to be taking this path as an escape so that they can leave.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it sounds like we're going to need to split the party, send half of them off to the resistance to fill them in, come back, and then we what's that? It stopped. While we're doing that, we just have Faris and Quin load the boats with as much ordnance as possible. We blow it up, and then we get out of town.
Yeah. Or if we want, we could rendezvous while the fleet's headed out, and then that way we don't have to worry about code cylinders for you to come back here.
No, we still need the code cylinders to come back.
Do we?
Anyway,
Do we though?
DMs?
Code cylinders to get back to Skyforge?
Yeah, like we leave and then come back and just kind of sit here at the docks.
You will need code cylinders to check in, yeah.
Would it be possible for
I mean, Quin could give his code cylinder to like authorize like repositioning the ship, I think.
yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at when my brain stopped. Could Quin just take us disguised as new soldiers or newly minted units and say, I need code cylinders for these?
Yeah, you could do that.
All right, they wouldn't have to like they wouldn't like try to shove the code cylinders in our chest cavities or anything, would they?
They would expect you to do that, but they wouldn't try to force it on you.
Okay, good enough.
Okay. Then we could probably do that before you take off.
Yeah, that'd be our best bet at this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm sure much more planning is about to take place, but the smell of pickled herring is reaching your nose.
Yeah.
And Catbeard is like, All of this is making me hungry.
You and me both. Give me one of them fish.
See, I knew you'd warm up to it. And
Oh, I
think-
never had a problem to begin with.
All right, and I think we will end the stream there, and then we'll come back where you will find out what their great strategy is next.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.